Welcome back to the Diamond Download, Chase. I lied to you, man.
What'd you lie about?
Dude, remember when I told you that I was going to do my next podcast from this sick new setup that I talked about, where it was going to be life-changing, everything's going to be crazy?
Yeah, and we haven't even recorded for a few weeks. So what happened?
Yeah, I know. You've given me ample time. I understand that. And this is why I kind of feel weird about it. But I hired an interior designer. I'm hiring an interior designer. I haven't paid them yet, but they're going to do a bunch of work, and they're going to make this place feel like a home. Because here's the thing. I'm living in the sky. It's a very cool apartment. It looks like Shay set this up. Honestly, I feel like Shay could have done a better job.
You just
I'm
have
like
like the
deeply
necessities.
ashamed of like what this place looks like right now, and so I wanted to have a really smartly dressed Italian woman to come in and make this look proper, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Giovanna came in yesterday, and then this other guy walked in with a tape measure, just measured all my walls today, and so hopefully in about a month. Then I'll have my new setup, and I won't even want to use that because my living room is gonna be so beautiful that I'm just gonna want to do it out here. So
Heck yeah.
we'll see what happens.
How
How
do
you doing?
you find someone like that? Like how did you recruit this person?
I put it up on my story. I said, "Hey, anybody an interior designer?" And then I got like a bunch of like high school girls that were like, "Oh, I want to be an interior designer when I grow up. Can you be my first client?" And I was like, "No, I want a professional." Like, dude, I'm gonna spend like 50 racks on furniture and everything. So I was like, I need
Oh
this
my
to be
gosh.
nice. Like,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so
Dude, you gotta do
I
before and after video.
Oh hell yeah, no, we'll do it. She'll do one for sure. And then this guy swiped up, and he was like, "Oh, I have somebody for you." And she's like, she barely speaks English, but that's okay. Like she doesn't. The language of art and design knows no boundaries. So that's how
Cool,
I feel
dude.
about that.
Cool.
Yo, Chase, how you doing, bro? I know you've been away for a while. How's your life? You still doing all right?
Yeah, things are great, man. Things are really good. Last week I was out of town for a couple of days speaking at an event, and then my grandma came in town, so it's been a great week. How are you doing?
Oh yeah, you were telling me your grandma beat you at golf.
I didn't say that. I said I went golfing with her. I didn't say she beat me, but thanks for
You
throwing me
said
under the
you
bus.
told me no. You told me that she whooped your ass.
She'll probably want to listen to this episode, but not entirely true.
Yeah, no, I actually had to confirm with her. She said that she shot 82 and that you
Oof.
shot 105. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Damn, bro, you told me so hard. The people are gonna
It's
hear
all
this.
right, dude. Yo, listen, she's had plenty of rounds in her life. You know what I mean? Like you're new to this game of
I'm
golf. You've
new.
only been playing 5 years. She's been playing 60.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, let's
That's all
dive
right.
in. I'm excited to chat today.
Okay, let's dive in. So you mentioned you spoke at a little event. I actually have this first up. I want to hear about the Commerce Roundtable. Can you give us a little recap? Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so a week ago, I went down to San Diego, hopped on the train on Sunday night, went to San Diego, and I spoke at Commerce Roundtable. So it was an event with, I don't know, 450, 500 uh, founders of brands, marketers of brands, as well as agencies and SaaS companies. There's probably about 300, 350 brands, and then everyone else was SaaS or agencies. And Jimmy and I did the opening talk of the event. We did a talk all about what we're seeing in email, where things are heading, kind of what's happened in the year past with all the iOS and kind of the regulations and the privacy concerns and the Yahoo Google updates. So we kind of just broke down like what's happened, where we're at, and where we're going. And dude, it was awesome. As I briefly mentioned, I went on the train on Sunday night after the kids went to bed. I got to watch a little bit of the Sunday night football game, which was cool. Got there the next morning, we did the thing. Got to see a bunch of great faces of people that had met online, as well as people I've seen, in other events in the past. And then my brothers and I ducked out a little bit early from the event and we went golfing and it was amazing. We went golfing down in San Diego. It was beautiful weather. It was super fun. We went out to dinner, just the three of us. And then we kind of went to the event the next day, networked, socialized, and called it a wrap. But it was awesome. It was really cool to see people kind of in the flesh.
Dude, it sounds great. It sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it was sick. It was just exactly what I needed. I got a little bit more sleep than I do at home, got a little bit more golf than I do at home, and got to see a few more people than I got to see at home. So it was nice for 48 hours.
You should do this every 48 hours, bro. It sounds
Yeah,
like a
not
great little way to spend your weekend.
not that much. I would say though it was great. I didn't really touch the phone or the computer much, but I did feel behind a little bit last week, and I still need to unpack about a week later. So I still have to go unpack and get my life back on track. But it was great. I can't wait for the next one. They're actually doing, I think, two next year. They're gonna do one in Miami, which I'll make sure that you know about, and they're gonna do the
Mm.
next one in San Diego. So they're actually going from one event to two, and they're gonna go a little bit bi-coastal. So it'll be sick.
Are you gonna be in the Miami one?
I probably will. Yeah, I'll probably do a talk with Jimmy and whatnot. We're launching like this.
You're coming to Miami?
Oh yeah, I haven't. I mean, probably. I don't know the dates, but I'll probably end up talking. Jimmy and I are doing this media company that I told you about, so we're gonna be working closely. Shaq is gonna be emceeing again, so as long as I don't have any prior commitments, I'm there, which I'm probably gonna be there. So we're gonna hang
Okay,
out.
so I didn't know the media thing was public. How much can you share about that? Because I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot more is coming public. Jimmy and I kind of teased a little bit of it at the event, but we're doing a couple things. We're doing a podcast. We actually recorded the first episode yesterday. I don't think it will go live for, at least a week after this episode goes live, but we recorded our first one yesterday. We're going to be lining up some guests, and we're really kind of going into the nitty-gritty of ecom email, kind of going back to the roots of all things email. And then we're doing a newsletter. We're going to do a course, going to do some software. So it should be really cool. All about primarily email and with emphasis on email, ecom.
Okay, so you're back in the email game. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I felt like I was really into it, took kind of a little bit of a step back, and now I'm really excited to be kind of diving in again. It should be fun.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's super cool. I think that's exciting. We talked a little bit about this off air, but I think you and Jimmy combined is going to be pretty cool. I wish I would give anything to have Jimmy as a co-founder on something. We've talked about, we've sung his praises. He's probably sick of it now, but like I've told stories about Jimmy getting his hands dirty, getting in the trenches for like myself or clients or
Yeah.
whatever. There was a client, just to refresh people. This is the type of guy Jimmy is. I had a client that I was writing copy for. I was doing his newsletter last year, and we switched to send lane. There was an issue with an email we were trying to send. It was like 8:30. This email was supposed to go out at 10. Jimmy joins a group Slack with me and the client, fixes the problem himself, like goes in and like diagnoses what happened, and then uploads the email and then sends it for me.
So cool.
It was insane. It was like one of the craziest things ever. Anyway,
Yeah, real
um,
quick on that. I think like the biggest takeaway, not about like my time at Commerce Roundtable and how I did, but I think like the biggest takeaway from like the people at Commerce Roundtable is like they've really built a community. And when I say they, like it really is centered around Jimmy. Jimmy has done so much for the community and given so much without ever asking that you really build a lot of goodwill and people that just want to support you. So I guess Jimmy's first and really only ask was come have a great time with 500 other people, learn, make connections, do business. And that was like really apparent. That I really felt that at the event that like this was this community that wanted to support Jimmy. Shaq is another good example. Shaq was the MC for Shaq's Geek Out events in the past. They're not doing them anymore, but people were there because of Shaq. And they were there because they know that Shaq was a great connector and curator. And I just think that like there's just something to be said about like going out of your way to help others, altruistically, really, like really helping others. Like Jimmy didn't really need to help you. He didn't need to help me. He doesn't need to help others. But like when you do the whole one-to-one, you do the quote unquote the things that don't scale, as Paul Graham said, like if you do that enough over a long enough period of time and it's sustained and it really is coming from a genuine place, I mean, dude, it's so powerful. He had 500 people, the event was sold out, sponsors were lining up at the door to sponsor it, and he couldn't take on more sponsors. Like he sold out sponsorships and like we're talking like somewhere in the six figures. I don't want to say how much, but like people were throwing money at him. They just wanted to be a part of it. So I think the biggest message is like, just be a good person, do good things for the community, and whenever you do have something that is a net positive and a win-win for everyone, like you'll be really surprised by the support that you get.
love it, dude. That's awesome. I think, okay, so let's segue this into the next one because I want to hear like tips, but I want it to be contextual for selfishly my thing.
Okay.
So I did I tell, I don't know if I told, oh wait, no, I did. I'm doing my first in-person event.
You mentioned we talked
Um,
about it for like 2 or 3 minutes on the phone the other day.
yeah, so I'm doing an in-person event for my inner circle because I don't know why we haven't done one, but I really want to meet everybody. I think they want to meet everyone. I think it's like going to be a cool opportunity to network and stuff. We're only selling tickets inside the community, so if you're not in inner circle, you can't come.
Sick.
Um, Unless you're Chase Diamond, in which case, I mean, if you happen to be here, it'd be kind of cool.
When is it?
But So here's what we have planned so far. So we are like, I have my EA working with an event planner. She's like just gonna do everything,
Amazing.
or I guess the two together. But we got a mastermind little thing Friday, like a speaking thing. People sit down for probably hopefully only 2 hours or 3 hours or something like that. We got four speakers. I'm one of them, and then probably refreshments or whatever, and then dinner that night. And then the next day we're doing like a ladies brunch. So like only women are allowed to go to this thing, but like we're gonna send Abby, my EA, and like all the women that show up. Probably gonna be like 50 and 20 of them. They're definitely a minority, on like a little brunch date or something like that. And then the next day is VIP day, so we're selling VIP tickets as well. We're gonna do like a boat and then like a private dinner with just like a handful of us because there's gonna be way less VIPs, and
That's
then
sick.
something nightlifey. And so that's the plan now. But I kind of want to know. You've done a bunch of events, like whether you put them on yourself or you've just been like a speaker.
Yeah.
What is the difference between an event that goes really well and an event that really sucks? Because I would love to know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd say for the one that we just went to, like it was obvious that they didn't spare or kind of skimp on expenses. Like they rented out like the freaking dock in San Diego, like on a pier. They had the entirety of the event. Like it was a stunning venue. From the time that you got there, you're like, wow, like you felt good about attending. Like I'm not going to some event that was lackluster, kind of hacked together. You could tell like how much went into the planning, and they started working on this event in March, and they just did it at the end of September. So just think about that, right? The amount of planning that went into it, 6 7 months. I think that was number one. Is just like the venue. Number two is like, dude, the amount of food, drinks, snacks, and everything like was crazy. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a kid at heart, but like the first thing I went to, and I remember it from last year, like just the snacks and the sweet and the drink table was just
They don't
unbelievable.
let you have candy at home.
Yeah, not really, not really. I don't get out much, so a little underwhelming for most, but probably for me it's great. I think the next thing is like the fact that they did some curation, they didn't just let anyone and everyone buy a ticket, right? Like you really felt good about the people in the room. And I think the fact that like it's an inner circle event, I feel like people are gonna feel like they're at the same level as one another. No one's gonna feel above or beneath people. So I think it's really great for allowing people to have their guards down and just being like, hey, we are a community, we're a collective, we're a family, we're a group, whatever that right word is. And really just connecting people. I think that's great. What I really like at these events, sure, the speakers and the talks and those things are great, but transparently, I don't really listen ever to those. For me, it's all about the networking and just the people in the room and the people that like I've followed and people that follow me and have talked to online, just connecting. And I felt like I wish I was there for longer to have more of that connection. The speakers and stuff, great. Obviously, I spoke and a lot of people were there. That's great. I'm sure there were some good learnings. I think the speaking you need to have to teach someone something, but I like the fact that you said it was going to probably be four speakers, 2 hours, right? So everyone does a half hour, maybe 45 minutes all in. You don't want to like overload people with like 10 hours of talk, right? People just cannot consume it. They just cannot consume that much. And then they're going to feel like exhausted after. And they're going to feel like they just are so anxious to have to go execute all this stuff that like it kind of takes away from being present. So I love the fact that you're going to do a handful of speakers. And it's going to probably be very intimate based off the size that you're doing, right? People are going to probably be in a room. You know, I think one of the bummers is like it also is hard at a big group to ask a lot of questions. Like you really only get like 5 or 10 minutes of questions, and it's hard to answer everyone's questions. So I think the fact of like having the speakers there, having them answer questions in a group, but also having them be accessible throughout the day is really important because people are going to have one-off situations that if they get to ask that question and they feel like they got a little bit of personal feedback and insight, that's going to make the whole thing a success. And then I think I love the fact that like you're hosting events like in and around it for people. Are they buying a ticket and then they get the dinner and these other things included, or are those separate costs?
No, the ticket, it gets you everything. Like we'll pay for the big dinner and everything. I mean, they're gonna have to feed themselves at some point.
Yeah.
But yo, that was actually great advice. I think like the one thing maybe I didn't think about, which I'm gonna have to build in, is the fact that like people really want to talk to each other.
Yes.
I Did I just lose my mic?
Yeah.
I
But I
think I
think
did. Happens every time, brother. Maybe I do need that office setup. Um, but people want to talk to each other, and they want to network. I get that part. I didn't really think about that. And there was one other thing you said. But I think that's really good. Yeah, we want to keep the speaking thing. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. We want to keep the speakers to an absolute minimum because I
Yeah.
know how people can yap, and it's like really annoying. Like I've been to these things before. I'm going to one soon where I just know it's gonna be like a yap fest. People are gonna talk about like some boring stuff that I don't want to hear. I really do go to meet like maybe two or three people. Like there's two or three people that I want to see there, and then the rest I'm just like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and I think a couple things. Like, I think for you, you're gonna have an upper hand because you know all these people, right? Like, you know to some regard how much they're all making. You kind of know what they do, what they're selling, where they're based. Your EA can probably do a little bit of like, I guess, matchmaking for lack of a better word, right? Trying to connect people that maybe have like complementary skill sets that aren't necessarily competitive. Obviously, everyone, right, is doing copywriting, but maybe people have like certain niche specialization, or maybe one person's doing email and another person's doing landing pages. Like, and just being able to have like certain things that you know about each person and being able to like, hey, Chase, you got to talk to Mason because maybe you guys can collab on clients, right? Mason does landing page copy and you do email copy. Maybe you guys can cross sell each other's clients on these things. You can bring them in, right? Maybe they're more kind of broad and they can do multiple things. But like, I think the fact that you know a little bit about each person and maybe make them even fill out like a survey ahead of time after they buy a ticket of like, a little bit about themselves, what they're hoping to get out of it, types of people that they're trying to network with, and trying to like match make and pair people. That might be kind of cool, right? And even breaking people off into potentially like groups, and you don't want to make it feel too much like a college project or school, but trying to connect people just with intention, like even if it's in small groups, maybe people that are doing the same amount of revenue, or maybe people that are kind of more mentor someone else and give some feedback and advice, like, hey, I'm one step ahead of you. I'm doing 10 grand a month. You're doing 5 grand a month. And another person that's doing 15. Maybe they can kind of share things. So I think like that networking and that kind of strategic connecting, I think at the size of your event and it being more intimate is really doable. At an event with 500 people, it's near impossible.
Mhm.
Because you said what, there's going to be 60 to 80 people, maybe tops.
I think that's probably what we'll end up getting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's cool. Um, yeah, and I think like I don't. You don't want to give people homework, but like a lot of these people, I think really look up to you, and this is probably for that a lot of them the first time they've ever done something like this. So even like you doing almost like a manifesto or like an indoctrination ahead of the event of like, here's what I want you to get out of this. Mentally, I want you to get clarity that you're on the right path. Educational, I want you to take notes of these three things from these four talks, right? Like for my talk, I really want you to nail this point and drive home this point. Like I don't know, I feel like if you can kind of like tee up to these people, like this is what I want you to do, and then everything else is gravy. It might help them really stay focused. 'Cause I got to imagine a lot of these are probably 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 24-year-olds that were in college and then the pandemic happened and they haven't done anything like this.
Hmm. Yeah, no, dude, this is all great. I think yeah, the matchmaking thing will be super interesting. I do want to give people freedom, dude. I've
Yeah.
had birds flying into my window very frequently lately. I'm sorry, kind of going off topic, but there's like feathers over there, like on the
Oh man.
window. So a bird just went bop, and one almost just did again, and so I was like kind of freaking out. But anyway, um, yeah, I want to give people the freedom to sort of like move around. Like one thing I don't love is when like people do like seating arrangements and then like they're like, oh yeah, you would pair really well with this guy, and then I'm sitting next to this dude. I'm like, I don't want to hang out with you. Like I want to hang out with those guys. You know what I mean? It's like, but I think like there definitely will be some opportunity for me to do something like that, and I'm gonna give this all to my EA, and I'm gonna make sure she does her
Yeah,
stuff.
I think you're right. I think like finding the right mixture is helpful, and I think like part of me saying that is like from this past event, there were a lot of people that like reached out to me before the event saying, "Hey, I want to connect," and I actually wanted to connect with them. And then just life happens. I left the event a little bit early each day. I kind of forgot. It was kind of overwhelming where like I left that event and I'm like, dang, I was in the same place as these people that I've been working with for a while or that I want to work with that we've been talking about working for a while, and I just didn't connect with them. And then Nick and Jimmy were like, hey, we wanted you to talk to so and so. Did you talk to them? I'm like, dude, you should have told me this. You should have connected me with them. You should have like, a lot of people after the event are like, oh, I wish I would have met you, or I wish we would have chatted. So I just felt like I wish I had a little bit more of that intention going in of like, I need to find these people. I need to map out time. I need to like make sure someone holds my hand and connects me with them. And again, probably it's my fault. Like I probably should have been an adult and not left the event early both days. But like I think that's one regret I have looking back is like I wish I got to meet a little bit more people than I had, type of thing.
Dude, this is all great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sick.
take it. You could have met a billionaire and you wanted to go play golf. Connor.
Yeah. Probably.
Whatever, man. You want to move on?
Let's do it.
Okay, last one. I don't know exactly when this is going to come out, but we're recording this on the 1st of October, which means two things. Number one, spooky season, my favorite. Number two, it's Q4. Chase, it's Q4 again. First of all, has this year not flown by?
It's been wild, man.
I
Yeah,
remember the
it's been
last
wild.
the last year that we did. We've been doing Diamond Download for a minute now, but I remember last year I was in Tallahassee and we recorded that episode. I was in like some woman's kitchen and we were talking about Q4 and planning and stuff, and it feels like that has just flown by. That does not feel like a year. It feels like 6 months. But I do want to ask if you have any like Q4 plans or Q4 goals. I got one goal. It's very broad, but I kind of want to hear yours first.
Okay. Yeah, I guess for me is like I think the biggest one is just like launching this new company with Jimmy, like getting this on the right track. We're going to start hiring some people. We're going to start working on everything. So I'm really excited to see if we can do at or close to six figures a month by the end of the quarter. So, obviously right now we're starting literally at zero. I want to see if we can get to or around about 100K a month in revenue by the end of the year. I think it's a little bit ambitious. I don't know if we're going to sprint that hard, especially with like holidays and just a lot of stuff going on. But I think that's like kind of a little bit more of an aggressive goal on that business is like get that kicked off in the right motion, get some people hired, try to get to six figures in the next 3 months.
I think it is very doable.
Yeah, I think
It's like
it's
just straight revenue, right?
yeah, 100K a month in revenue by the end of the year.
Bro, you're gonna do that in November.
Let's hope. Jimmy's goal for October, he wants to do 30K. So if we do 30 this month, well, like, we're literally just starting as of this week. Like yesterday, we recorded the first pod. We're about to start setting up the rest of the pod. We're about to start setting up the newsletter. We have to work on the course this quarter to launch next quarter. So we're trying to do 30 for the month of October.
Oh, you're not gonna launch the course until next quarter?
Correct. So it would be
Uh,
100K on selling sponsorships on the pod, on the newsletter, selling into next year. So it's going to be a little bit hard. Like our goal is to do 30 for the first month, and then hopefully 50 or 60 by the next month. And if we can get to about 100K in commitments at least by the end of the year for the month, that would be great. So, but yeah, Q1 is going to really be the big for us. Like we're going to try to do multi six figures a month in Q1.
oh yeah. But okay, so how about this? Why not don't rush it, but why not like sprint the course thing so that you can have that ready for like Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Like you're gonna go crazy. That's like the most fun of
Yeah,
the year.
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Jimmy's gonna probably listen to this. I'll talk to him after about this too, um, just to
Jimmy,
see if it's in us.
Jimmy, I know you're listening. Launch that course, brother. It's the best stream of income
That
you'll ever have.
that would really help with the revenue, that's for sure. So that's a good call. What about you? What's yours at?
Okay, so my goal last year, it was a revenue goal for Q4. It was a little uneducated. Didn't really know why I said the number I did, but I said 2 million, and we were
2 million
close.
for the quarter.
2 million for the quarter,
Okay,
and the only reason that dropped off is because I was in a relationship around Christmas time, and I think I maybe worked 3 or 4 hours for the month of December. And I
crazy.
remember we still did like 370 or something stupid. But like I feel like we could have gone bigger. And it was just because like I was solely responsible for driving traffic and I didn't feel like doing it sometimes. It was just I wasn't feeling like making TikToks. We stopped doing webinars. It was just kind of like, okay. I think that we can do 2 million this Q4 because we have newer and better traffic sources. I think we have a better offer and a better product. We have a couple things that I don't want to talk about now, but I think we'll like. There's a chance we do like close to seven figures in a day if everything goes well with this thing that
Wow,
I'm like trying to work out with Sanjay. You know Sanjay?
wow. Yeah. No, of him. I don't think we've spoke, but maybe we spoke briefly. But yeah. Dude,
Sanjay's
seven figures
this
in a
like
day.
well, I mean, it's ambitious, and I know it's like it sounds crazy. It obviously would be revenue. I don't know how much that would be profit. It would be a lot of money spent on ads, but there's a certain mechanism that you can do, and it's sort of like an ace card where you can't do it all the time, but you could do it like once in a while.
Okay.
And it's just like money printer, like turn the jets on.
Okay.
So if we pull that off around Black Friday, which is probably when it would be, then that would be almost guaranteed to happen. I think we could definitely hit 2 mil in Q4. And Chase, my pockets are feeling kind of light these days. We had a great September, so I'm not like
Sick.
complaining or anything, but I feel like we should be running it up a lot harder. I talked to my trusted advisor, Rob the Bank, recently. You know Rob the Bank?
You've talked about him, yeah.
Yeah. And so Rob, we call him Uncle Rob. He was a little bit disappointed in me because he said that he actually put himself in too, but he said that him and I are both not doing everything we could be doing, and that we need to make more money. And when Rob says make more money, that usually means you gotta do something cool. So we're gonna do it.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. I'm excited to check back at the end of the year and see how we did on this. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, we'll do one on New Year's Eve, and we'll review our Q4 goals.
Cool. Can't wait, bro. This is a good one. I missed you. I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, I miss you too, man. All right. Well, I see you next week.
Let's do it. We're back.
All right. Shall it be written, so shall it be done. Diamond Download, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Thanks for allowing us into your homes. We're gonna see you next week.
Cheers, brother. Bye.